You're listening to the Hella Well with Danielle show, a podcast taking women of color on a journey exploring all things wellness and travel related. We're all about showing you how to put on your oxygen mask first and creating lasting self-care habits that will free you to travel the world and live the life you truly desire, and not one you have to fake loving. I'm your host, Danielle Washington. Now let's buckle up and start this journey. Welcome to the Hella Well with Danielle podcast, your weekly mental vacation from the daily grind for women who just need to pause, breathe, and woosah. I'm your host, Danielle Washington. To be liked or not to be liked? That is today's question. I read recently this op-ed piece called "It's Time to Admit That Being Liked is More Than Being Good at Your Job" by Jasmine Rowley of Essence. When you think of Essence, you think, oh, it's going to be empowering for women, because that's what I've always felt Essence was. But this op-ed article about Amanda Seales, whether you love her or hate her, did not feel any love. It started off with, okay, let me say real quick that I kind of like her. She's really good at what she does. And then it just goes on to say, I'm going to need you to look in the mirror because you are not liked. And so that's why you're not getting the jobs, and that you need to change yourself. And I really think this is something that many of us can relate to, is what's the balance between being liked and being authentic? And so today's topic is really about us exploring the concept of likability, its impact, and what is the balance between freedom from the need of approval and needing to be liked for survival. So if you've been here before, I love to start off with us just tuning in we're just going to do one deep breath because I feel like there's a lot to talk about today. So if you can, take a moment, ground down, close your eyes, and let's just take one big deep inhale through our nose. Hold the breath. And exhale through your mouth. Take a moment just to be still. Connect with your natural breath. And then inhale deeply. Exhale. And flutter your eyes open. At what cost is it worth it to be liked? And inversely, at what cost is it to be authentically you, unapologetically? This was the question that came out of reading this op-ed. You know, Amanda Seales recently went on, I think, Instagram and was talking about how she's basically blackballed from Black Hollywood and how she's done all these things and she's not getting her due respect. And in this article, in essence, it basically says, you're not getting your respect because no one likes you. You do good work, but no one likes you. It's more important to be liked than to do good work. So let's get into what does it mean to be likable. The author did me a solid, so she even put the definition of what it means to be likable. And she said, to be likable, the term likable is having qualities that bring about a favorable regard, pleasant and agreeable. When I think about pleasant and agreeable, I think about know your place. I think about when children are told children are meant to be seen, not heard. And I feel like women are told the same thing. And that's what we try to deem as likable. But being likable, being agreeable, can often mean don't be you. Don't show who you are. Play small, especially for Black women. Being likable in the workforce can lead to you feeling like you can't be yourself. And the author even talks about it in her article. She talks about we have a historical toxic relationship with being likable, especially for Black women. We have all these archetypes that we need to fit under, being the mammy, being the Jezebel, being the Claire Huxtable, to where we need to fit in. And it leaves us feeling that we need to put on a mask, that we can't be ourselves. And so I find it really hard when you can understand that this likability situation for us can lead to us feeling like we need to hide, but you're still at the same time saying you need to do it to survive. Listen, I've had my own issues with being liked in a professional setting. I've had to struggle with how do I walk the balance between quote unquote being likable and agreeable with being me, with being the person who is okay with saying, no, this isn't the best for the company, or this isn't the best for us to move forward, or presenting, hey, have we thought about this? Being able to say, let's think about outside the box has led me to have issues in my own career in being likable. And I get it. The author talks about how research has shown how hiring managers are more likely to hire someone who's likable than competent. But at what cost do we strive to be agreeable? Because there's a cost, people. There's a serious cost. It affects your self-esteem. It lowers your self-esteem because your worth is tied to other people's approval of, am I likable? What are they going to think about me? That affects you in a negative way. That identity confusion. Well, who am I? Am I the mask, or am I the person who I think I am behind the mask? Am I dependent on this external validation because I'm not worthy enough? I'm not going to make it and survive and be successful unless I get these likes. And even think about social media. Literally, people are liking our post. Am I not getting enough hearts? Am I not liked enough? And the feelings of that can make you feel burnt out because you're exhausted of trying to get all these likes. You're trying to be the most agreeable. And you're playing a role that can be exhausting. Emotionally and mentally, you can get burnt out and feel drained. It also reduces your personal growth. If you're always conforming to what others expect of you and want of you, there's not enough room for you to explore, oh, I can expand, to be bigger, to develop and explore different aspects of your personality. Because you're like, well, I don't know. I don't want to rock the boat. And this can stunt your growth, your personal growth, and limit your experiences. And there's a fear of being authentic. That's another cost that people don't think about. When you're so busy trying to be liked, how authentic can you be? How authentic can you be if your main goal is to be accepted, to be liked? This fear can prevent you from engaging in activities that you actually enjoy, or really being able to express your opinion, and especially unpopular opinions. I gotta ask, is it worth it, the cost? Is it worth the cost to be agreeable? And the other side of that is, what is the cost of not being agreeable? I think to some degrees, it's a situation of, am I going to be able to, how can I survive without conforming and being this other person that is like, yep, whatever you like. If you love it, I like it. I'm in all the way. There's a cost to that too. There's a cost to when you're like, I'm going to speak my truth, unapologetic. And Amanda Seales is seeing the cost. Amanda Seales is complaining about the cost of being her authentic self. She prides herself on being authentic, and that's great. But there is a cost to being authentic. There is a cost to being unapologetically you. It starts with social rejection and isolation, which is what Amanda is seeing. Her peers or coworkers are distancing themselves. Even this article, this author of this article is distancing herself. She's like, Amanda Seales is really talented, but she's not likable. So she's causing all these problems for herself. There's professional consequences, which again, Amanda Seales and many of us have felt. When you are deemed assertive, it's interesting that when a Black woman especially shows signs of being assertive, speaking her mind, she's dinged for it. There's a liability ding. But if a man says the exact same thing, oh, he's likable. So there's that gender equality about what we can say and what is deemed acceptable. You got to fit in. And there's professional consequences when you don't fit in, when you don't go along with, when you challenge the status quo, there can be backlash. This can manifest as being passed over for promotions, being excluded from networking opportunities, being excluded from feeling like you're part of the team. I have felt all of these things. I've been on teams where they would literally we had a small team, and everyone would go out to lunch and not invite me because I wasn't likable. And I wasn't likable because I was doing mean things. I wasn't likable because I questioned their role. I would question, is this the right look for us? Should we be doing this? Have we thought about this? What about these other things we can be doing? And I got to the point where I was like, okay, I can continue trying to do the best for the company, or I can sit back and just be liked. And you know what? In that position, I sat back and was like, I'm just going to be liked. And I saw things go really bad, but I was just like, I'm tired of fighting people. I'm tired of being passed up for promotions. I'm tired of being disregarded. Because it doesn't feel good to be disregarded. It doesn't feel good to be socially rejected or isolated. The criticism and the backlash that come with being authentic can feel like a high price. So at one point you got to ask yourself, am I willing to pay the cost to be my true self? Or am I willing to pay the cost of being liked? Which one is more expensive? You have to ask yourself, which one is more expensive? And at different times in your life, it may feel more important to fit in, be liked, and it may feel more important to be your authentic self. But I need you to know both have their own cost. Both have their own situation. It's just, again, thinking about which one am I willing to pay? And that's a personal decision only you can answer. I can't answer that for you. I have to answer that for myself, just like you need to answer that for yourself. And start asking yourself some tough questions. Like, what am I sacrificing for being liked? Reflect on what are you compromising on when you're trying to be liked, like your personal beliefs, your time, your energy, your authenticity, and how does that affect your well-being and self-respect? Also ask yourself, how do I react when I feel disliked or reject? Explore those same emotions and physical reactions of rejection. Like, what thoughts and feelings are coming up to the surface? And how are you coping with these situations? When you are able to start asking yourself some of these questions, you can determine from a better place at what cost am I willing to either be liked, and what cost am I willing to spend and pay for being my authentic true self? Start asking yourself, how does my need to be liked influence my decision making? Like, think about recent decisions you've made, primarily gaining someone's approval, and what might you have done differently if you weren't trying to be influenced by the need to be liked? Ask yourself, who am I when no one is around? Who am I? Decide your thoughts and behaviors and feelings when you're alone, and how do those differ from when you're in social settings? And how important is it for me just to be liked? What fears are connected with that need to be liked? What fears are connected with that feeling of I need to be my authentic self? And the fear of what does that look like when I'm not my authentic self? Start asking yourself some questions. Be honest with yourself, recognizing that this is your journey and your journey alone, and that you're not alone, even though it is your journey, because many of us as women have struggled. The media has wanted us to be like the Molly in Insecure at work, where she's just like the happy, agreeable black lawyer. Where we look at the flip side of a black lawyer who's trying to be herself, the Elise Keating wasn't so liked because she was too much herself. She was authentic. She didn't try to be liked. So the media showed her in a negative sense, where Molly at work was most likely liked, but you can see the emotional and mental tolls that being liked played on Molly. There's no easy answer. This likability situation Amanda Seales is going through is one that we all can resonate with. We've all probably been there. It's a battle that I wish we didn't have to deal with. But as a black woman reading this article from Essence, I was like, dang, we are beating ourselves up. This article literally said for Amanda, get in line. Otherwise, you'll never survive. You need to be liked. It doesn't matter how talented you are. Step in line. And it really felt like kind of some slave-ish with like, just, get in line, slave. The master wants us to do this. So, don't make it bad for yourself and everyone else. And maybe that was just my take on it. I'm curious for you guys to read the article and get your opinion on it. But all I know is it's just not that simple. There's a lot more complexity to being liked, but you need to do the internal work to kind of figure out what's right for you. On that note, I will see you guys next week. Ciao. Thanks for joining us this week on the Hello Well with Danielle show. Make sure to visit our website, hellowellwithdanielle.com, where you can subscribe to our show on iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon Music and never miss an episode. Also, you can follow us on social media at Hello Well with Danielle on Facebook and Instagram, and Hello Well Danny on Twitter. And if you like hella love the show and got some good nuggets out of it, know that I'm not too proud to ask for you to please leave a rating or review on iTunes so that we can continue to expand our reach and help other women of color. Again, thanks so much for listening, and I hope to see you next week. Ciao.